Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Monday, and all of our guests today, including Iain MacIntyre from Sportsnet, sportsnet.ca, brought to you by Passant Motors. Ready to find your next vehicle? Visit Passant Motors today to experience the difference for yourself. The friendly team looks forward to helping you drive home in the perfect vehicle for your needs and budget. Getting to your destination starts with us. Learn more at BASANT Motors, PassantMotors.com. Canucks lose to the Stars 4-1 Sunday at Rogers Arena. Here to talk about that and all matters Canuck. Maybe throw in some ice cream talk as well. From Sportsnet, sportsnet.ca, Iain MacIntyre. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I was wondering how long it was going to take one of you jabronis, to get to the ice cream. So
how could we not? Iain,
yes. You know what? I was horrified, embarrassed when it first happened, but it's just one of those things. It's so bad, it's good. Like, what can you do but laugh at it? There's lots of context that I won't get into. I'm blaming Greg Shannon.
Yeah, it's a wide shot.
Yeah. Well, what a crazy ass angle. I mean, I deliberately left space between me and Dave Tomlinson so I could eat my ice cream when they had a head-on shot of Shorty and DT.
Yeah.
And instead, they come up with this angle from the corner of the rink where I'm in the background, but whatever.
I have to say, I'm watching the game with my wife, and I don't know what it is, Iain, but ever since the Seahawks story, which maybe for people who haven't heard about it, we'll go through it one day. Everything you do, I laugh at. I don't know what it is, but I just had such a...
We love you!
It was just something about that story, and ever since, and it was a beautiful moment, and you had fun with it, which says a lot about you.
Yeah, what can you do but laugh at yourself sometimes? But everybody now, it's now a thing. Before the game last night, I was getting a tuna poke to have for dinner because I didn't want to eat the what was in the press box. Yeah. And a guy saw me and said, "What? No ice cream?"
Yeah.
Pretty much every day. I think at the very least, I should be able to get an ice cream deal out of this. I'm not a TV rock star like you guys. I don't have cars from Passant Motors like you do. But I should get some free ice cream, no?
Yeah, I agree. And speaking about us, those were the old days, Iain. It's not like that anymore. Trust me.
Well.
Yeah. Broadcasting has changed. Hey, what do you make of the low minutes for Boeser, Pettersson, and DeBrusque yesterday?
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of agree with what Rick Tocchet says. You have to earn your minutes, and those guys weren't very good. I mean, Elias had a pretty good couple of games before that, and rang one off the crossbar on his first shift against Dallas, and then really wasn't noticeable. Didn't register a shot on net. I think Brock had one, and Jake, I think he had two, and so Tocchet basically rolled four lines. It's not like these guys got benched and didn't play in the third period, but their minutes were clearly not top of the lineup minutes. Pettersson and Brock were both still around 16. So I think it's Rick Tocchet. Here we are, 63 games into the season, and he's still trying to drive home expectations about culture and. This is where this team is.
Yeah, Iain, I agree with everything you say there, but my question is, and we talked about this in the first segment, yes, okay, they weren't playing up to expectations, but is now the right time to send that message with 19, 20 games left in the season and you're fighting for a playoff spot?
Yeah, I think, Donnie, it's only partly a message and partly it's a coach actually trying to win a game. And I think he looked at how they were playing and decided, guys like Sherwood and Höglander and Connor Garland had a good game, so some other guys got ice time instead of them. I don't think Rick Tocchet would sacrifice a game. Let's put it that way. I think there's too much riding on these, and so he thought that was the best way to win. And now we'll see how those guys respond. I mean, we've talked more about Elias Pettersson this season than any player I can ever recall covering. Maybe Pavel Bure, back in the day when Bure left and there was all this conjecture about what was going to happen and when's he going to be traded. But we've talked for hours and hours about Pettersson. Brock has been through a lot of ups and downs. Clearly is struggling to adapt post JT Miller. He was so accustomed to playing with JT, and they were such a good combination. And Jake quietly has had a pretty solid season, considering he went his first 9 games without a goal, and everyone was wondering, is this 7-year contract? Is this going to be something the Canucks have to survive? And Jake has had a very good year, but he needed to be a little bit better last game. And I'm sure when we talk to him today, he will say exactly that. Jake is a very realistic, very good pro. And I think all 3 of those guys are going to be better next game, and they have to be, because the Canucks can't win. Well, maybe they can win a game here or there. They can't make the playoffs if they're going to continue to score 1 or 2 goals a game. They need more.
Well, let's talk about Brock. Ian, where are you with this? The GM just continues to rip the player. I don't know how you bridge a gap in contract talks or trade talks when clearly they publicly hammer the player quite a bit, and they did on Friday as well. But I'm sitting there going, their camp can't be too impressed with Allvin's comments, and then you're still trying to sign the guy. I mean, what does his future hold in your eyes?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's going to be up to Brock, because one of the things that happened on Friday at 12:01, all the leverage, all the power transferred to the player from the team. So it's now in Brock's hands. I think he's very honest and very genuine when he says he wants to remain with the Canucks, but the Canucks have to show him that they want him. And I agree with you that Allvin's comments about the low market prices he was getting offered were a little bit surprising, but I also suspect that was the reality. I wondered, my first thought when he said it is, I wonder if this is strategy to because Brock has said several times that although he's not worried about this contract and the negotiations, he knows that on July 1st, no matter what happens, he's going to be in good shape. That whether, if he's signed with the Canucks, then obviously it's a deal that he likes and he's going to remain here. If he's a UFA, he's going to be one of the top UFAs, and he thinks, there's going to be a lot of teams there lining up for him. Maybe this was an attempt to say, it might not be as rosy as you think on July 1st. In any case, it's a professional business. It's a tough business. Brock is another guy who needs to play a lot better. And if he plays better, it'll help him whether he signs here or signs somewhere else. But there's still a lot of time between now and July 1st. The fact that the 2 sides have been negotiating is an indication that there's a chance to do a deal. If the Canucks didn't want him back at all, they wouldn't have reportedly put that 5-year offer in front of him. And if Brock really was set on going somewhere else, which I definitely don't think he is, then he wouldn't have, or his agent wouldn't have entertained these negotiations. So, when 2 sides are talking, there's always a chance. But, right now it's a path less traveled to let a guy go through the trade deadline on an expiring contract and then still try to re-sign him. I mean, that does happen with players at the lower end of the lineup. It doesn't often happen with guys near the top of the lineup. So we'll see what transpires between now and July 1st.
Ian, lowest scoring team in the NHL, one of them. You don't have a ton of goal scoring coming through the system, Abbotsford or draft picks. Like, how do you get out of this rut? I mean, first-line centers and second-line centers don't grow on trees. They don't. And, scoring wingers in the top 6, they don't score on trees or grow on trees.
Rarely they score on trees.
Thank God they don't score from trees. But you know what I'm saying. How do you get out of this rut of being one of the lowest scoring teams in the NHL?
Well, they're going to have to get. Well, first of all, they have a first-line center. They're paying $93 million to, so it would help.
He's not acting like Ian. He's not acting like a first-line center, though.
But we know that he's capable of better, and he knows he's capable of better. So if they could, I think Elias that was his 12th goal the other night.
Yeah. He's
talented enough to score 12 more before the end of the season. I don't think he's going to do that, but there's there's obviously a lot more that he can do. Brock's got to start scoring. Phil Hedl, who was so good that first week, has kind of disappeared here as well. He's capable of scoring. Connor Garland is capable of scoring more goals, scored a big one the other night, of course, for them. So, right now, the guys that they have, although this is always going to be, right, the way it's constructed, the way it's coached, we know this is going to be a defense-first team. Their blue line is better. They got great goaltending. They're trying to sort of play from their strengths out. But the forwards that they have to find a way to score more. Lecker Mackey, he'll pop in a couple. He actually looks good. He looks like a more developed player now near the end of his first season in pro than he was in the fall. So that's good news for them. But let's remember as well the subcurrent to all of this is that Quinn Hughes is out of the lineup. Yeah. And Quinn Hughes is not only their leading scorer by 20-something points, he's the best defenseman they've ever had. He's one of the most dominant possession driving players in the National Hockey League, and is probably, I would say, the best player that the franchise has ever had. Right now, they miss him a ton, and when he comes back, obviously the offense is going to get a little bit of a jolt. If nothing else, the power play is going to be a lot better with Quinn Hughes.
Always fun to cover a game involving the Montreal Canadiens, which is the case tomorrow. Ian, good luck on the Haagen-Dazs deal.
Yep.
Thanks for this.
Lots of good ice cream around. You're never far from an ice cream shop.
Well, you would know. Thanks, Ian.
I would. Yeah. See you guys.